Okay, I'm Aubree Adams. I'm sitting with a family in Pueblo, Colorado that has been highly affected by the legalization of marijuana, and the husband's going to describe what it's been like to live next door to people that are growing and using marijuana.
Okay. So we've lived in this house for almost 10 years, and so it was prior to the legalization of marijuana, and now with it being legalized. And when we bought the house, there wasn't a yard, and so I spent lots of summers fixing up the yard, planting flowers, putting up a fence, and just to make it an enjoyable place. And since the legalization of marijuana, it's hard to spend any time outside because almost immediately after going outside to either water the grass or flowers or whatever, you just smell the smell, and it's just unbearable. A lot of times it's smoke from neighbors 2 houses away, 3 houses away. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint at this point because there's so many different users around the house. We've seen people outside drying their marijuana, other people selling it out of the back of their houses. Was one neighbor to where we got cameras, and um, all hours of the day and night they were dealing. It's affected my son in the way that we would walk him to school. We would purposely walk around the houses that we knew had marijuana just because of the smell, and he was very sensitive to it. Whereas I think of my childhood, and I didn't even know anything about marijuana, what it even looked like until I was late in high school, and yet here my son in kindergarten already knows what the smell of marijuana is, and I think it's just a sad mindset that we accept it. You go to the grocery store and it's the same thing. It's all over, just the smell, and it just lingers, and you don't know necessarily who it is, but you smell it everywhere you go. The mall, Walmart, um, you're out washing your car, you just smell it, and it's just not a pleasant way to live in a society.
One thing that bothers me too is when you're driving down the street or you're at a stoplight and there's smoking around you and it comes into your car,
Right.
and you can't get the smell out
Yeah.
for a long time.
Nope.
It's just awful that we have to be exposed to this.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel though, like having your kids in the backyard playing with them and then having marijuana smoke come into the backyard?
It gets frustrating because it's that lack of care of those around you. There's been many a times I mentioned, can you at least wait until we go inside? Probably not the most friendliest way to handle things, but it gets frustrating because I've spent so much time and money in making my outside an enjoyable place to where my kids aren't stuck inside on video games and all that. And I encourage them to go outside, but they can't be outside smelling the smell and dealing with people coming all over all over the place and constantly, and be encouraged to do that. So it's a real tough situation that I'm in as a parent. And then again, when I want to come home from work and relax outside in my hammock or on my swing, it's frustrating that I can't be out there on my own time and enjoy the outdoors because I consistently smell marijuana.
So you went to your neighbor and they would be smoking marijuana, and you would say, "Could you at least wait till I go
Right.
inside?"
Or I would just kind of holler it from my yard to where they
Yeah.
could hear it.
Yeah.
Because there's really no other way to do with it. I can't, whereas before, if I would smell marijuana, you could call the police and
Yeah.
they would come and get involved. But, now that it's legal, yeah,
There's nothing.
there's
There's
nothing as a homeowner I can do.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do. And I've done that too in my backyard. I've walk out my back door and you're totally hit in the face with it. And there's been times where I've been so frustrated, I just yell, "I don't like your smell of marijuana. I don't want your smoke on my
Right.
property. This is not fair." Though I know
Right.
it's not going to help anything. I do it because I'm so frustrated.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Okay, and then the next one we'll do